Tammy Slaton shows off her new teeth after losing 500 pounds, a journey beyond the scale. Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. For 1000 lb's sister latest news update, please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. There's a moment in every transformation story that isn't captured by the scale, a moment that doesn't show up in before and after photos, that isn't measured in pounds or inches. It's the moment someone looks in the mirror and doesn't just see a thinner version of themselves, but a whole new person, someone stronger, braver, more alive. For Tammy Slaton, one of the stars of TLC's hit reality series, 1000 Pound Sisters, that moment came not when she stepped off the scale at 500 pounds lighter, though that was monumental, but when she smiled wide, unafraid, for the first time in decades and saw her new teeth staring back at her. It wasn't vanity. It wasn't about aesthetics, not really.
It was about dignity.
About reclaiming pieces of herself she thought were lost forever. Tammy Slaton's journey has been televised, scrutinized, celebrated, and sometimes mocked. But behind the cameras, beyond the headlines, her story is one of relentless courage, a slow, painful, beautiful unraveling of shame, fear, and self-doubt. And her new smile? That's the exclamation point at the end of a sentence she once thought would never be finished. To understand the significance of Tammy's new teeth, you have to go back, way back, to the little girl who hid her smile because other kids laughed, to the teenager who covered her mouth when she talked, to the woman who avoided photos, turned her head in group shots, and stopped going to the dentist because the pain of judgment outweighed the pain in her mouth. Dental neglect is a silent epidemic among people struggling with severe obesity. It's rarely discussed, but it's devastating. Chronic inflammation, poor nutrition, medication side effects, mobility challenges, and the psychological toll of shame all contribute to oral health deterioration. Many, like Tammy, avoid dental care not out of laziness, but out of trauma. The fear of being judged, of being treated like a spectacle, of hearing condescending tones, or feeling the sting of a hygienist's eye, it's paralyzing. Tammy had lived with broken, missing, and decaying teeth for years. She tried to fix them before there were attempts, consultations, even moments of hope, but life, weight, depression, and circumstance always got in the way. Her teeth became another casualty of her battle, another thing she told herself she didn't deserve to fix until she did. Losing 500 pounds is not a single event. It's not a surgery, not a diet, not a moment of willpower. It's a war waged daily against cravings, against old habits, against grief, against loneliness, against the voice inside that whispers, "You'll never change." Tammy didn't just lose weight, she rebuilt her life from the inside out. She faced food addiction. She underwent bariatric surgery not as a magic fix, but as a tool. She moved. She cried. She relapsed. She got back up. She found a therapist. She set boundaries. She learned to say no to food, to toxic people, to self-destruction. And somewhere along that road, after the mobility returned, after the sleep apnea vanished, after she could tie her own shoes and walk through a store without leaning on carts, she realized, I'm still hiding. Not behind her body anymore, but behind her smile. The decision to get dental work wasn't impulsive. It was the culmination of years of self-work. Tammy had spent so long being told by society, by media, even by well-meaning fans, that her value was tied to her weight loss. You'll be so much happier when you're smaller, they'd say. You'll find love, you'll get respect. But Tammy learned, painfully and profoundly, that happiness doesn't come from a number on a scale. It comes from self-respect, from treating yourself like someone worth investing in. So when she sat in that dental chair, not for cleaning, not for a quick fix, but for a full reconstruction, it wasn't about looking prettier for the cameras. It was about honoring the woman who had fought so hard to be here. It was about saying, I am worth this. The procedure wasn't easy. Dental reconstruction after years of neglect is complex. Bone grafts, implants, temporary crowns, months of healing,
Pain.
swelling, adjustments, speech changes, diet restrictions. Ironic for someone who had just spent years relearning how to eat. But Tammy didn't complain.
She documented it.
Not for clout, not for drama, but for the people watching at home who were hiding their own smiles, who thought they didn't deserve care, who were waiting for someday to fix what was broken. She posted videos with swollen cheeks, lisping through temporary teeth, laughing at herself. "Y'all, I sound like I'm talking with a mouth full of marshmallows," she'd chuckle. And in those moments, she wasn't the 1,000-pound sister, she was Tammy, the woman who refused to let embarrassment silence her, who turned vulnerability into strength. When the final set of permanent teeth was placed, Tammy didn't do a big reveal on social media. No countdown. No dramatic music. She just smiled. And kept smiling. In interviews. In selfies. In mirror videos. She'd catch herself grinning at nothing, at her dog, at a good cup of coffee, at a text from her sister Amy, and then she'd pause, look in the mirror, and grin even wider, just to see them again. "They're mine," she said simply in one video. Not the dentists. Not the insurance companies. Not the networks. Mine. I earned them, and she had. Every root canal. Every sleepless night. Every salad eaten when she craved fried chicken. Every tear shed in therapy. Every time she chose herself over the comfort of old habits, she earned those teeth. The public reaction was overwhelming, not just because she looked prettier, though many said so, but because her joy was contagious. Fans flooded her comments with their own stories. "I haven't smiled in photos in 10 years. You inspired me to call a dentist. I'm getting my teeth fixed next month because of you. You made me realize I don't have to wait until I'm perfect to take care of myself." That's the thing about Tammy's journey. It's never just about her. Her transparency turns personal victories into communal healing. She doesn't preach. She doesn't shame. She just lives out loud. And in doing so, she gives others permission to do the same. One fan wrote, "I used to think I had to lose 200 pounds before I could get my teeth fixed. Like I didn't deserve nice things until I was good enough. Tammy showed me that's a lie. We deserve care at every size, at every stage." Tammy reposted that message with a simple caption, "Say it louder for the people in the back." But let's be clear, Tammy's new teeth are not the end of her story. They're a milestone, a beautiful, hard-won one, but not the finish line. Recovery isn't linear. Health isn't a destination. And self-love, that's a daily practice. Tammy still struggles. She still has bad days. Days when the scale ticks up. Days when old cravings roar back. Days when she feels like the world is watching, waiting for her to fail.
But now?
Now she has tools. Now she has support. Now she has teeth that don't hurt, that don't crumble, that don't make her hide, and that's more powerful than it sounds. Because smiling, really smiling, without fear, without shame, is an act of rebellion for someone who's spent a lifetime being told their body is a problem. Every time Tammy flashes those pearly whites, she's flipping the bird to every bully, every troll, every doctor who dismissed her, every voice, inside or out, that said she wasn't worthy. There's a quiet revolution happening in Tammy Slaton's life, and it's happening in dentist offices, in therapy rooms, in grocery stores where she chooses vegetables over vending machines, in quiet mornings when she brushes her new teeth and whispers, "Good morning, beautiful." She's redefining what transformation looks like. It's not just about shrinking. It's about expanding into joy, into confidence, into self-trust. It's about investing in yourself, not because you've earned it by being smaller, but because you're alive, and that's reason enough. Her teeth? They're symbolic. They're literal. They're medical. They're emotional. They're the armor she never had as a child. The confidence she never felt as a teen. The pride she's building, brick by brick, as a woman in her 30s who is finally, fiercely, unapologetically becoming herself. Tammy's sister, Amy, once said in an interview, "People think this show is about weight. It's not. It's about two sisters learning how to live, really live for the first time." And Tammy's smile? That's living. That's thriving. That's proof that healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in layers. First the body, then the mind, then the spirit. And sometimes, yes, the teeth. Because when you've spent your life feeling like a burden, like a spectacle, like a before picture waiting for an after, getting to smile without shame is nothing short of a miracle. Tammy hasn't stopped evolving. She's talking about writing a book, maybe launching a podcast, possibly starting a nonprofit for people struggling with obesity and dental neglect. She's dating cautiously, joyfully, and says, "For the first time, I'm not trying to hide parts of me. I'm showing up as I am. Scars, stretch marks, new teeth, and all." She's also become an advocate for comprehensive post-weight loss care, not just skin removal, not just nutritionists, but dentists, therapists, physical therapists, endocrinologists. Losing weight is just the beginning, she says. The real work is learning how to live in the body you fought so hard for. And part of that is smiling in it. If you watch Tammy now in interviews, in Instagram stories, even just walking through an airport, you'll notice something. She smiles constantly. Not posed. Not performative. Just smiles. At strangers. At clerks. At her reflection. It's like she's making up for all the years she held back, and maybe she is. Maybe every grin is a tiny act of defiance. Maybe every flash of those new teeth is a love letter to the girl who thought she'd never be seen as beautiful. Maybe it's her way of saying, "I'm here. I'm whole. I'm not hiding anymore." There's a scene not from the show, not staged, not scripted that fans talk about often. It was caught on a fan's phone at a meet and greet. Tammy was tired. She'd been signing autographs for hours. Her feet hurt. She was probably hungry. But when a little girl, maybe 8 or 9, shy, hiding behind her mom, whispered, "Can I take a picture with you?" Tammy didn't just say yes. She knelt down slowly, carefully, because her knees still ache sometimes, and looked the girl in the eyes. Then she grinned wide, bright, dazzling, and said, "Honey, get ready. This is going to be the best picture you ever took." The girl beamed.
Click. Flash.
Magic. Later, the mom posted the photo online. "My daughter has a gap in her front teeth," she wrote. "She's been so self-conscious. She hasn't smiled in a school photo in 2 years. But after meeting Tammy, she hasn't stopped smiling since. That's the power of a smile, especially one that was fought for." Tammy Slaton didn't get new teeth because she lost 500 pounds. She got new teeth because she decided finally, fiercely, irrevocably, that she was worth it. And in doing so, she reminded millions of people watching that they are, too. Weight loss didn't give her confidence. She gave herself confidence, and then she built a life that reflected it. Her teeth, they're just the shiny, sparkly, undeniable proof. So here's to Tammy, not just the reality star, not just the weight loss warrior, but the woman who looked pain in the face and said, "Not today." Who turned trauma into testimony. Who made dental care a radical act of self-love. Who smiles now like she's making up for lost time, because she is. And if you're reading this, hiding your own smile, waiting for someday, waiting to be good enough, hear Tammy's laugh, see her grin, feel her joy, and know, someday is today. You don't have to be smaller to be worthy. You don't have to be perfect to be beautiful. You just have to decide, like Tammy did, that you deserve to smile. And then,
Go do it.
wide, bright, unafraid. Your teeth, your life, your joy are waiting, and so are you. Tammy Slaton's story isn't over. It's still being written, one meal, 1 mile, 1 smile at a time. And if her journey teaches us anything, it's this. Transformation isn't about becoming someone new. It's about becoming who you've been all along, just louder, prouder, and with a whole lot more teeth. Welcome home, Tammy, we see you. And damn, do you look good smiling. Tammy Slaton didn't set out to become a symbol of transformation, not the kind you see on billboards or in glossy magazine spreads, but somehow, that's exactly what she became. Known to millions as one half of the TLC reality sensation 1,000-Pound Sisters, Tammy's journey has been televised, scrutinized, celebrated, and sometimes mocked. But through it all, the weight fluctuations, the family drama, the public breakdowns and breakthroughs, she's remained startlingly, disarmingly human. And now, after years of hiding her smile, Tammy Slaton has revealed her new teeth. Not as a punchline, not as a spectacle, but as a quiet, personal victory. A milestone in a much longer, much messier journey towards self-worth. For years, Tammy's smile was something she guarded closely, not out of vanity, but out of pain. Dental issues are rarely discussed with the same gravity as heart disease or diabetes, yet for many Americans, especially those struggling with obesity or financial hardship, dental neglect is both a symptom and a source of deeper suffering. Teeth rot. Gums recede. Infections spread. Pain becomes a daily companion. And shame that's silent, corrosive emotion settles in like an unwelcome houseguest. Tammy lived with that shame for years. Cameras caught glimpses of her covering her mouth when she laughed. Interviews showed her turning her head slightly when speaking. Even in moments of triumph, signing a record deal, moving into her own apartment, losing hundreds of pounds, her smile remained guarded, tucked away like a secret she wasn't ready to share. The reasons were practical at first. Dental care in America is expensive, and for someone whose medical needs were already overwhelming, gastric bypass surgery, physical therapy, psychological counseling, fixing her teeth simply wasn't a priority. Survival came first. Function over form. But as Tammy began to stabilize physically, emotionally, financially, the neglected parts of herself began to whisper louder. Her teeth weren't just cosmetic. They were functional. They affected how she ate, how she spoke, how she felt about herself in the mirror. And perhaps most importantly, they were a visible reminder of a past she was working so hard to leave behind. The decision to get dental work wasn't made overnight. It wasn't sparked by a producer's note or a fan's comment section. It came from within a slow, steady realization that she deserved to feel whole. That healing wasn't just about the number on the scale or the size of her clothing. It was about reclaiming parts of herself that had been abandoned during years of struggle. Tammy began researching. She consulted with specialists. She weighed options: implants, veneers, partials, full reconstruction. Each came with its own risks, costs, and recovery periods. She wasn't looking for perfection, she was looking for possibility. What followed was months of appointments, procedures, and patience. There were extractions. There were molds. There were fittings and adjustments. There were days when her mouth ached, and she could only eat soup. There were moments of doubt, wondering if it was worth it, if she was being vain, if people would even notice or care. But Tammy kept going. Not for the cameras, not for Instagram, but for herself. And then, one ordinary day, no fanfare, no countdown, no dramatic music, cue Tammy Slaton smiled. Fully, openly, unapologetically. The internet, of course, noticed. Screenshots flooded Twitter. TikTok compilations set her smile to trending audio. Fans gushed. Critics sneered. Memes were born. But what struck many longtime viewers wasn't the whiteness of her teeth or the symmetry of her smile, it was the lightness in her eyes. The ease in her laugh. The unburdened joy radiating from someone who had spent years carrying invisible weights. "Y'all, I can smile now," she posted on Instagram, no caption needed. Just Tammy, mid-laugh, teeth gleaming, eyes crinkled with delight. The post garnered hundreds of thousands of likes within hours. Comments poured in. "You look so happy, this made me cry. You deserve every bit of this." Even strangers, people who had never watched a single episode of 1,000-Pound Sisters, found themselves moved. There was something universally resonant in that smile. It wasn't about aesthetics. It was about liberation. Tammy's dental transformation is more than a cosmetic update. It's a metaphor for resilience, for self-investment, for the quiet revolutions that happen when someone decides they are worth the effort. Too often, society reduces weight loss journeys to before and after photos, to pounds shed, to clothing sizes dropped. But Tammy's story refuses to be flattened into a single narrative. Her healing is multidimensional. It's in the way she speaks now, clearer, more confident. It's in the foods she can eat without pain. It's in the selfies she takes without instinctively covering her mouth. It's in the pride she allows herself to feel, not arrogance, not vanity, but the deep, quiet satisfaction of having done something hard for no one but herself. She's spoken sparingly about the process, not out of secrecy, but out of protectiveness. This wasn't a storyline. It wasn't content. It was hers. And in a world that has commodified her body, her struggles, her tears, her laughter, keeping this part sacred was an act of defiance. What's often missed in conversations about Tammy Slaton is her emotional intelligence. Beneath the bubbly exterior and the reality TV editing lies a woman who has endured profound loneliness, betrayal, and self-doubt. She's been called lazy. She's been called attention-seeking. She's been called everything except what she truly is, a human being navigating trauma, addiction, mental health, and societal judgment with remarkable honesty. Her smile, now bright, bold, unhidden, is not a denial of her past. It's an integration of it. A signal that she's no longer running from herself. There's a scene not from the show, not from an interview, but from life that captures this perfectly. A fan once approached her at a meet and greet, trembling, tears in her eyes. "You don't know how much you've helped me," she whispered. Tammy, without hesitation, pulled her into a hug. "Girl, we're in this together," she said. And then she smiled wide, toothy, radiant. The fan started crying harder.
"I've never seen you smile like that," she said.
Tammy just laughed. "Well, get used to it. The cultural obsession with glow-ups often reduces personal growth to aesthetics. Better hair, better skin, better teeth, smaller waist." But Tammy's glow-up defies that shallow framing. Yes, her teeth are new. Yes, she's lost weight. Yes, her style has evolved. But the real transformation is internal in the boundaries she set, the therapy she's embraced, the independence she's claimed. She moved out of her sister Amy's house. She got her own place. She adopted a dog. She started setting goals that had nothing to do with WAG.